Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on April 7th, 2019, to talk about everything that went down tonight at WrestleMania. Tonight's WrestleMania was, it had its ups, it had its downs, maybe a little more. I don't want to say a little more downs than ups, maybe about the same downs as ups, but a very long show. And Beastie Boy, you may have that right. Beastie Boy 124 in the chat says, Shane and Miz match of the night. I mean, that match was actually really good. Kristen Castro says, do you think the main event was a botch? I don't think it was a botch. But at the same time, it came off as one, and that's not a good look if this match is coming off looking like a botch. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what we can find out over the next 24, 48 hours. See if anything does come to fruition, I guess you can say, about this. And I don't know. That was a very flat finish that should not have been the finish. Literally, like, Becky gets pinned 1, 2, 3, and then what? What are we supposed to think? It's like, or Becky pins Ronda 1, 2, 3, and then it's like, wait, that was it? That was the finish? Like, it didn't make sense. It just didn't seem like it was the end. I get maybe why they would have done that, to keep Ronda looking strong. But it's like, really? You want to keep Ronda looking strong by technically having her get caught for the victory? But it's just like, no, it doesn't make her look strong. It makes the whole match seem like, oh crap, we're running out of time, we had to go to the finish or something like that. I mean, honestly, it looked like a botch, which it shouldn't have. So I don't know what to say about that main event. It was just getting good too. We see this a lot. When a match is just getting good, all of a sudden they got to go home to the finish, like right there at the end. Like, oh, really interesting match too, which we'll talk about. We'll kick it off with the kickoff show. I loved on the kickoff show how Edge told Sam Roberts that he looked like a Dean Ambrose was put in a dryer with Krusty the Clown's wig. I thought that was the line of the night, or one of the lines of the night. So that was pretty funny. Other than that, on the pre-show, I mean, we saw a Cruiserweight title match, a Raw Tag Team title match, and then we saw 2 Battle Royals. And to be honest, the pre-show, I mean, the Cruiserweight title match, don't get me wrong, was great. I loved it. I thought it was a really good match. For people that don't watch 205 Live, it was like a, you should be watching the show kind of thing. That's what I felt with that 205 Live match. But wow. So Gabriel Lyles in the chat says Mania went 5 hours and 28 minutes. G1 Supercard 5 hours 43 minutes. But you also got to remember, G1 Supercard had a half an hour or 1 hour pre-show. WrestleMania had a 2 hour pre-show. So when you factor all that in, you got to think about that. But besides that, going forward, like I said, the night kicked off with the Cruiserweight Championship match. I was shocked here that there was an actual title change. Tony Nese won the title with his running knees in the corner. Really good match. It was exactly what you'd want from these two guys. And I liked how the doors opened for the show a lot earlier than usually. So there was actually people in the building. Most people were already in their seats by the time this show or this match got going. And I liked that because this was a good way to start the show. 2 guys that you knew were going to go out there and show everybody what's what. And yeah, let me know in the live chat if you guys can hear me or if I'm buffering too much. Someone messaged me saying that I'm a little buffery. But let me know in the live chat if you can't hear me clear. But with that, I think the match was really good. Very hot exchanges by both guys. The crowd wasn't too hot at first for Tony Nese because they probably were like, I don't know who this guy is. And then he did the reverse Rana and a Fosbury flop. And that was like, ooh, that was nice. Murphy had a cut over his left eye early, but it wasn't that bad. Murphy hit the Murphy's Law, but Nice got his legs up on the rope to break up the pin. Murphy kicked out of a 450. Lots of spots here. Modern Japanese style wrestling. So going forward, we then had the... sorry about that. I saw something. Going forward, we then had the Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal. Carmella did win this Battle Royal. It was almost the same finish that we saw last year. As far as we saw the finish of a woman thinks she wins, but she really didn't win. Someone else slides back in and takes the victory. Like, I don't like that they did that last year in the Women's Battle Royal, and then they did that this year in the Women's Battle Royal. Last year it was Bayley thought she had won, and Naomi slid back in and was like, I'm going to eliminate you. Now I won, Naomi wins. Well, this year, Sarah Logan thought she won. Carmella came back in. They fought for a minute, and then Carmella just threw her out. So it was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about Carmella just coming back in. Like, to me, it was like that Royal Rumble, the first Women's Royal Rumble, when Sasha Banks claimed that she was in for 43 minutes, longer than anybody, but half of that time she sat on the outside. And this is what it felt like to me, too. Carmella stayed on the outside for a lot of this, and then she was just in and good. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Nothing's going to come of it. I mean, it's the women's battle. It's the Battle Royal of WrestleMania. Nobody gets anything for it other than you can say for a week, hey, I won the Battle Royal. And then, like, they'll say it for like a week or two in their entrance. The winner of the women's WrestleMania Battle Royal, Carmella. And then, like, after 2 weeks, they're going to drop it. And they're not going to say it anymore. Also, let me know what you guys think of the results of the show scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you do like that, we will continue to do that on pay-per-view streams. But going forward, we then had the Revival defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And Hawkins and Ryder were victorious. They were able to break Hawkins' losing streak. And I thought this match was actually kind of good, especially for it being on the pre-show. The match got a really good reaction from the crowd. The Revival carried it well. They were very technical and solid. There was one weird spot where Zack Ryder went to I guess he was going to suplex Dash Wilder over the top rope, and they both crumbled over the top rope, kind of like fumbled, and Ryder hit his neck on the apron, but he seemed fine. He sold it really well. Most of the match was beating down Ryder. They were on the outside for a while, and Scott Dawson gave Hawkins a brain buster on the floor. Dawson threw him into the ring steps and told the ref to stop the match because Hawkins was motionless. So they throw Hawkins back in the ring, and Scott Dawson's like messing with him, like, is this guy knocked out? Like, are we going to just keep doing this if this guy's knocked out? And so he goes to pick up Hawkins, and Hawkins cradles him. 1, 2, 3. What the hell? He won the title. New Raw Tag Team Champions. The Revival got beat by the frickin' Major Brothers, the Edge Heads, Hawkins and Ryder. New Raw Tag Team Champions. Now, remember last time Zack Ryder won a title at WrestleMania, Intercontinental Championship in the ladder match, WrestleMania 32. What happened? He lost it the next night to The Miz. So hopefully they can hold the titles for longer than one night. We'll see. And then we had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Basically, the story of this match was Colin Jost and Michael Che ran out of the ring the beginning of the match and hit underneath. When there was the Hardys and Braun Strowman left, because nothing else really happened in this match other than this, but when there was the Hardys and Braun Strowman left, the Hardys were trying to eliminate Strowman. Jost and Che got back in, tried to eliminate Braun. Didn't happen. Braun eliminated the Hardys, and so Colin Jost brought in his therapist and was like, Braun, you need to calm down. Let's talk about this. There's my therapist. I'm like, what the fuck kind of shit is this? And so the therapist was in there, and Braun just like, here's what I think of your therapist, and he beat the crap out of him. And Colin Jost is like, He looks at Michael Che and goes, get him. And Che's like, no, I'm going to try and eliminate myself. And he tried to eliminate himself by just jumping over the top rope. Braun caught him, slapped him across the face. He flew out. Braun then eliminated Colin Jost by throwing him out of the ring on top of a bunch of guys at ringside. And there we go. Braun Strowman, winner of the sixth annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And that was the pre-show. That was the pre-show for WrestleMania. I like how we got 4 matches. It was cool that they did it how it was 2 title matches and then the 2 battle royals. Putting the 2 title matches on there, to me, did make it seem like, okay, the kickoff show does mean a little more than, it's just the battle royal thing. So on the main card, as the main card kicks off, Alexa Bliss opened up the show after we got, I forget her name. She's African-American lady that sang America the Beautiful tonight. I think she's actually the girlfriend of Titus O'Neil in real life. Great rendition. She sounded really cool, really good. So Bliss comes out. She said if she wants, she can create a WrestleMania moment with a snap of her fingers. And I go, oh no. Don't try and do like a Avengers thing. And then all of a sudden, Hulk Hogan's music hits. Hulk Hogan comes out. He says, "It's great to be here in the Silver Dome." And he goes, "Huh, I'm just kidding." And then he messes up anyways and goes, It's great to be in MetLife Center. And I'm like, you still fucked it up. He did his catchphrases and then asked Alexa Bliss to pose with him. And this was funny because Alexa Bliss is so much smaller than Hulk Hogan. It looked like Hulk Hogan was posing with a child, where this kid was like, I get to meet Hulk Hogan. I'm going to do the poses with Hulk Hogan. No offense, Alexa. But that's what it looked like. And as they're posing, Paul Heyman just storms out. Looks at them. And like, you really going to waste time doing this bullshit? That's what Heyman looked like. James Weston in the chat says her name is Yolanda Adams. I see a couple other people saying that as well. Thank you. Yes, Yolanda Adams. Joseph White says it's not his girlfriend. Huh. I heard a couple people tell me that it was. But, hey. Either way, so Paul Heyman comes down to the ring. And he's just looking all business. He's strutting right down to the ring, not wasting any time. He's like, give me a mic. So he gets the microphone. And Heyman just goes, if Brock Lesnar ain't the main event, we ain't waiting around for no match. We want this match now so we can get on a plane and fly to Las Vegas where we will be ultimately appreciated. Talk about UFC if you didn't get the pun there, an ultimate. So Brock comes out. And Corey Graves is on commentary like, and Corey Graves and Michael Cole actually both were like, this isn't fair to Seth Rollins. He wasn't ready yet. He probably isn't ready yet. And so Seth Rollins comes out anyways, gets a cool little entrance where there's graphics on the screen. And yes, the stage was nothing more than a big video board. I was a little disappointed that they didn't do anything cool with a lot of the graphics. It was mainly just the same Titantron videos we see every week on Raw and SmackDown, unfortunately. But with that, Seth Rollins gets a cool little extra graphical video where it's got the Brock Lesnar tattoo, and then a sword comes down and like crashes in front of the tattoo, and then it like glass shatter, and then they do the burn it down. I got goosebumps when every person or at least it sounded like every person in that arena or stadium yelled "burn it down." That was great. So Seth comes out. It says a Beast Slayer for his graphics, which we knew because we had seen a video of the test of that last night. And this is a really quick match. So the beginning of the match was basically Seth was coming down to the ring, and before he can get in the match, Brock blindsides him. Brock then beats him up all around ringside, and then finally throws him in the ring and just says, "Ref, ring the bell." And so they ring the bell. Lesnar gave him 3 German suplexes, an F5, but when he went for that F5, it got reversed. Rollins escaped and threw Lesnar into the referee, which ref got knocked out of the ring. So Seth pulled a Nakamura low blow, like we saw last week on Raw. He then gave Brock Lesnar a super kick and 3 curb stomps and pinned him in 2.5 minutes of the bell being rang. But it was like a Goldberg Brock Lesnar a couple years ago that went less than 5 minutes, or like 5.5 minutes. And this actually tore the house down. Like, this was one of the, I guess because it was early, the crowd was just into it. But the crowd was into this the entire time. Because it's like, this is just, even like Brock was going quick. Seth was running around quickly. I liked it a lot. For a sub 5-minute match, you couldn't do any better than this. And so Seth Rollins walks out the champion. And the only thing I wished he would have done was his WrestleMania 31 celebration where he had the belt and he was swinging it over his head like he did at WrestleMania 31. I was like, who? Swing the title. And I may have missed him doing it, but I didn't see him do it. It would have been cool. Now, the interesting thing here with this is we had heard as of this morning, the first match of the main card was actually supposed to be AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. So I don't know when this actually got changed. I had last heard about 2 to maybe 3 hours before the main card started. Opening the card was AJ Orton. Well, I don't know what happened here, but they just went with, maybe they were thinking, we need to do something super hot, and this match is going to be quick anyways, so let's just throw this on first to get the crowd going. Maybe that's what they were thinking. And so, next up, we had Jerry the King Lawler come out for commentary. They had a lot of guest commentators tonight, which I thought was actually kind of cool. It made WrestleMania seem more important. Okay, the man called Dry said that he did swing the title at the top of the ramp. Okay, I did miss it then. Yeah, I was trying to write notes and get the Twitter and all that updated, and so I was like, match is over. All right, I don't really need to watch too much of the celebration. Let's update the social media, get all that notes ready. So you miss a couple little things here and there. So Jerry Lawler was on commentary. Jerry Lawler was here, as they stated a couple times, that he has seen all of Randy Orton's career. And so he would have a good perspective of this match as far as Randy Orton goes, which I thought that was cool. So the match had a slow, deliberate pace, which I really didn't like. It was a lot slower. It was like a normal, slow-paced Randy Orton match, but I don't know if it worked for Styles. Excuse me. They both worked solid, and there was really nothing to complain about other than the pacing of the match, though. Some well-thought-up spots, and never really reached, like, a climax. It was just like, okay, this is good. They're not, very solid, very solid. Styles kicked out of an RKO and escaped a few more attempts. Other highlights were Styles doing a 450 for a near fall and Orton doing a superplex, a great-looking superplex. In the end, in the end, AJ Styles did win clean with a phenomenal forearm. Just clean victory right over Randy Orton. So I'm like, okay then. But, like I said, solid match, nothing to complain about. Everything went off perfectly. Not one thing looked bad. So, we'll see how it goes. I don't know what they're going to do next with either guy. We do have the Superstar Shakeup in a couple of weeks, and they keep wanting to move AJ to Raw, and they haven't. They were going to 2 years ago, but they couldn't pull the trigger on it. So, we'll see. And then, going back to the pre-show really fast, a lot of people, even the betting odds websites, all said Lacey Evans winning the pre-show battle, the Battle Royal. She wasn't even in the Battle Royal for some reason. Then, after the AJ Orton match, what do we get? Lacey Evans walking out on the ramp, doing her little wave, and walking right back out. She just got a WrestleMania paycheck for 60 seconds and nothing. Oh, damn. So then next up, we got for a Fatal 4-Way quick match, it was the Usos defending the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships against Rusev and Nakamura, Ricochet and Aleister Black, Sheamus and Cesaro. The Usos did retain with a double splash off the top rope on Sheamus after a double super kick. This was a really good match. All teams in this match worked really fast. I believe Cesaro is a machine because he swung Ricochet around at least 24 times, if not more, and never got dizzy. He was just perfectly fine. There was a crazy Tower of Doom spot where Ricochet actually basically did a backflip. Crazy Tower of Doom spot. I think Ricochet was supposed to land on his feet. When he did, he came down on his feet and then whoop, whoop, whoop. So I'm like, hey, it was cool. Everyone did a lot of their big moves in this match. Everyone got to look good. And then in the end, the Usos did retain. Like I said, it was a quick match, a lot quicker than you would think for a Fatal 4-Way. And I felt like a lot of matches tonight went longer or shorter than I expected. Not a bad thing, I guess. So then they're doing the Hall of Fame thing. They got everybody out there. And I have a question for you guys. So last night at the Hall of Fame, I'm not going to bring up the whole Bret Hart attacker thing, but I'm going to bring up Bret Hart and Natty during their regular speech. So Natty's there on behalf of her father, and she's wearing the Hall of Fame ring that's meant for her father. Okay, she's wearing it during the ceremony, cool, whatever. But then she posted a selfie this morning on Instagram. She's still wearing the ring. Do you think I want your guys' opinion. Do you think it's okay for her to be wearing the Hall of Fame ring around and be posting photos on her Instagram with wearing it? Or should it be something where it's like, she shouldn't be wearing this, like she's taking credit for the Hall of Fame induction? It should be something to where it goes to her mom and it's on the mantle or something at home. That's what I think. I don't think it's because for her to be on social media wearing it and she's wearing it and the picture's in a way where it's obviously she's got this big old Hall of Fame ring on. So it's maybe this is a nitpicking thing, but it's it's not her ring. It's meant for her father. Why does she get to wear it? Why don't we see a picture of her sister wearing it? Why doesn't her mom get the ring? So that's just the one thing I'm thinking of. It's she was also out there with Bret on the stage, which is fine. So, I don't know. Just a little nitpicky. They saved the DX for last. They introduced everybody. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Natty and Bret, Harlem Heat and stuff. And then DX comes out last. And they're all out there, DX, whatever. They got the DX shirts on. Triple H got the leather jacket on. And they're all posing in the middle. And the camera's coming in on them. And I'm like, where'd Pac go? Where's Kid? And you see Triple H, he's like, get over here. Because X-Pac's just running around oh, I'm going to soak this in. This is great. I'm running everywhere. X-Pac was having some fun. I thought that was funny. And Triple H is get over here. They're trying to get a good shot of all of them together. And then they had on the big screen above the ring, it had a picture of China and it said China, which is very, very cool. Excuse me. So, that's WrestleMania tradition. They bring out all the Hall of Famers for about 2-3 minutes. And yeah. So the next up was, honestly, probably the match of the night, or the second best match of the night. It was either this one or Kofi Bryan. It's Miz and Shane. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk it? Miz and Shane in one of the best matches at WrestleMania. Now, I don't know if that means this match was good or every other match sucked. And not only did Shane fall off of something, but Miz was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take the bump with you, brother. So, the match was a big, huge brawl, but Miz looked really good and just beating Shane's ass all around this place. I'm a little upset they didn't go more backstage. They kept it to where the crowd can still see it. Well, some of the crowd. So there's a spot where early on Shane beat down the Miz and he put him on the announce table. We knew that Miz's father was at ringside. Shane went to go to the top rope to do the elbow through the announce table, and Miz's father got in the way. Shane then said, get in the ring with me. And Miz's father got in the ring, and he squared up like he was ready to fight Shane. And this led to Shane and George Mizanin kind of going at it in the ring, and Shane attacked him, knocked him down. Miz finally got up. Miz was bleeding from the back of his head or something, it looked like. He was laying down, and you could see a small puddle of blood under the Miz's head kind of trickling, because the tables are slanted a little bit, kind of trickling down. I was ooh. So Miz finally gets back to his feet, and he's going over to his dad, and he's playing it up like his dad's just knocked out. And that incites a rage in The Miz. And The Miz just is like, you want to hurt my father? I'm gonna hurt you. And so he just starts beating on Shane. They fight into the crowd. He's just beating Shane all over, punching him in the head multiple times, throws him into equipment boxes, and then they go over to the production podium. I got WrestleMania 17 vibes here because Triple H and The Undertaker also fought on the production podium. So they're up on top of the production podium, and Miz gives Shane a skull-crushing finale. They climb up a little higher then, and Shane grabs his leg, his quad, and he's down on one knee, and he's like, I'm sorry, Miz. I'm sorry for all this. Just truce. And Miz, I ain't having it. Miz kicks him in the face, picks him up, and he goes, sets him up for a suplex on the very edge of this stage, or this podium. And he gives him the suplex. They both fly off this. It's got to be 15 feet up. At least 10, if not, no. Higher than 10. It's got to be between 10 and 15. And so they go flying. They crash through this little area they had set up, probably with a crash pad. And because it was a suplex, Miz's body is going to be coming down first. Shane lands on top of Miz, and both guys are knocked out. But then the referee, I think it was Lil H, he looks at him and goes, well, Shane's on top of him. This is false count anywhere. 1, 2, 3. Shane just won. Shane defeated him in a way where it was like they were both technically defeated, but Shane gets credit for the win because he landed on top of The Miz, which is very clever. That was a very clever finish. Made both guys look good. Made Miz look really good. I want this Miz to stay around. This Miz, I'm passionate about the story and the whole, you want to try and hurt my father and my family? Well, I'm going to come after you. I loved it. Brian Medina in the chat, $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that. Says, if they brought back hardcore title, Miz would be a good champ. I mean, after tonight, yeah, Miz can brawl. Who would have thunk? So I thought, really good match here. Really, really good. One of, if not the best match of the night. Probably, I think, it's tough. Because like I said, it's either this one or Kofi Bryan. So then going forward, in another Fatal 4-Way tag team match with the women's tag team titles on the line. It was Bayley and Sasha Banks defending against Nia Jax, Tamina, Natalya, and Beth Phoenix, and the Iconics. So it was funny. Bayley and Sasha come out for their entrance, and they do the thing for the Bayley buddies to go up, and they don't go up, and then some of them go up, and some of them halfway go up, and some of them don't go up. And Corey Graves goes, it looks like the Bayley buddies weren't ready for Mania tonight. I'm like, ugh. So Michael Cole immediately pushed that it was a celebration down under when Billie Kay and Peyton Royce won the tag titles tonight. No, Corey Graves wasn't on commentary, so it was just Michael Cole who said that. My bad. Joe Decker in the chat says he was wearing earphones and he heard Miz say, I'll go with you. Okay, I'll have to look back into that. I'll have to rewatch that because I was watching it on my TV, so I must have just couldn't hear it because of the TV. So this match was actually not bad. They had a spot where Nia, I think it was, who was knocked down? Let me check my notes here if I have it written right. I know Bret Hart came out with Beth and Natty, which is really cool. Beth and Natty were wearing matching Hart Foundation style gear, which I liked a lot as well. There was a spot. I can't remember who was knocked down, but Nia and Tamina were both going to go for a splash, and Nia gets knocked off the top rope, and she plops onto the apron butt first, tailbone first, and she's just knocked out of the rest of the match. So Tamina gets down to go check on her, and then, so they're fighting in the ring. It was Bayley and Beth Phoenix. They're fighting up on the top rope. It looks like Bayley's going to go for a Hurricane Rana or something, and Beth gets her in a glam slam position. So Beth got out for the Glam Slam, and right before Beth goes for the Glam Slam, Peyton Royce jumped on the apron, tags Beth's leg. Beth doesn't realize it. I guess she slipped off the apron or whatever, or jumped off maybe. Beth goes for the Glam Slam, goes to pull Bayley up for the pin. Iconics run in, knock Beth out of the ring, and they pin Bayley. 1, 2, 3. The Iconics are now the Women's Tag Team Champions. I saw a lot of people online complaining about this, saying, oh my God, how can you call this a women's evolution when you're giving the tag team titles to the Iconics who can't even wrestle? What kind of crap is that? And blah, 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 blah. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, yes, they're the Women's Tag Team Champions, but we don't know what they're going to do with them as the champions. Maybe they're transitional champions to get the titles on somebody else. Maybe Bayley and Sasha win them back really quickly. Maybe they're going to have good matches or decent enough matches because they're going to get some competitors that are really good, some opponents. Well, we'll see. You can't just go out and just be like, screw this, I'm never going to watch the women's tag title match again because they screwed it up today. No, you got to just calm down with all that. So then we had one of the other better matches of the night, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston with a WWE Championship on the line. And unfortunately, WWE spoiled the finish of this match before the match even got going. I want to apologize to Sean Ross Sapp for accidentally spoiling it to him as well, because the shirt that they showed Kofi, they gave Kofi after he won, was already up on Shop. So I sent the picture to Sean Ross Sapp saying, hey, have you seen this? And he's like, oh man, I was trying to stay away from spoilers. I was like, oh, I apologize, my bad. But anyways, so there was a picture, it was like, what's the shirt say? Hold on, let me pull it up. It had a New Day reference to it. Where was I? Let me see if I can find the shirt, what exactly it says. Also, I want to say thank you to Paul A. I hope I say your last name right. Bellatier at The Cruise on Twitter for sending me some really good shots from WrestleMania of some of the entrances and some of the pyro work and stuff. I really want to thank him. He's given me great photos the last couple of years from WrestleMania. I want to give him a shout out. If you guys want to go follow him at The Cruise on Twitter. Some of the pictures we will be using in other videos recapping WrestleMania we got from him. So I want to say thank you to that. But this t-shirt. The t-shirt actually reads, where is it? I got it right here. So the t-shirt actually reads, there's a new champ, yes there is. Instead of it's a new day, yes it is. And that shirt actually went up on WWE Shop before the match. Now, it was interesting though, because you can search New Day on Shop, and you see men's, women's, and youth shirt. But when you click it, nothing would load. As soon as the match ended, you click the search, and boom, it loaded. So, anyways, this is a really, really good match. I could probably actually go great. Crowd was really into this match. Bryan controlled most of the match with a lot of mat work. They brought Kingston's 2 young sons into the match afterwards to celebrate. Crowd chanted, "You deserve it." They opened up presents with the new t-shirt, as I just mentioned. They also gave Kofi a WWE Championship belt. Not the Brian Hemp belt, but the old regular WWE Championship belt with new side plates that just said Kofi on them. I'm glad that they weren't like the New Day logo or said New Day on it, or that it just says Kofi. I liked that a lot because this whole thing was all about Kofi and the New Day. But they really made it that, yes, the New Day were a factor in helping Kofi get here, but Kofi won the title himself. There was a spot at ringside where Daniel Bryan knocked Kofi into the announce table with Kofi and Bryan were fighting at ringside. Bryan got knocked down, and Rowan got in the way of Kofi. And Kofi was just like, don't touch me. You're going to get Bryan disqualified. I don't want any of that to happen. And so Woods runs up, jumps off the steps, and gets thrown over the announce table by Rowan. And so Big E comes over, and Big E picks him up on his shoulder. Big E actually struggled a little to pick Rowan up on his shoulder, and they did the up, down, down with Xavier jumping off the announce table. I thought that was really cool. It's a way to get all guys involved, but not really mess up the match. So there was another spot where Bryan was going for a dive and Kofi rocked him with a forearm before Bryan can actually do the dive. There was another spot in the ring where both men were running at each other. Looked like Kofi was jumping up for the SOS and Bryan caught him with a knee. Thought that was the finish almost. 1, 2 3/4 Kofi kicks out. I mean, a lot of great action in this match. Finally, in the end, Kofi does hit the SOS for the victory. Loved it. I loved it. I thought this match was really good. Told a great story of, the McMahons, or Vince doesn't think that Kofi's good enough. Bryan doesn't think that Kofi's even a worthy challenger. And Bryan used a lot of technical wrestling to keep Kofi down, but Kofi was able, every single time he was kept down, to fight back. He was resilient. And I liked the way they did that, where it was like, yeah, Bryan's the champion. Bryan may be the better technical wrestler, but Kofi ain't giving up. He's got the heart. And it is a little like the old Daniel Bryan story, where it's like Daniel Bryan won't give up. He's got the heart, but it was done in a way that was not the exact same. So going forward, Michael Che and Colin Jost were with Alexa Bliss backstage. They were so it said like trainer's room, and then under it said the mortuary. And you see Colin Jost and Michael Che. And Alexa says something about they've got doctors here that'll take good care of you. And then it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and Nash wanted to give them a prostate exam. They're the new Maya Mula. We then got Booker T on commentary. Really smart to put Booker T on commentary here, as Michael Cole did state, Book, you've had matches with both of these guys, Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio. What are the differences of these guys? How can one work well with the other? And this and that. I liked that. But I think Rey's not 100% based off how this match went. Rey came out. Rey Mysterio was dressed as the Spider-Man villain, Mysterio, which is really cool. Mysterio had a 619 right away, and then Joe put him right in the coquina clutch. Ref didn't even do the lift your arm 1, no drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. It was just more like Rey stopped moving. Ref shook Rey, and he's like, call it. Like, they got Rey in and out. Rey did 1619 basically, and that was it. So I assume, I don't know, but I assume that Rey must still not be 100%. The match from when the bell rang only went about 59 to 60 seconds. So then next up, we had Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Crowd really wasn't into this because it was just too obvious who was going to win here. Excuse me. The match was a lot of McIntyre controlling. Roman would come back here and there. Samoan drop on the floor. Then threw McIntyre back in the ring and hit him with a Superman punch and a spear for the victory. Again, the crowd wasn't really into this match because the story of this match was, is Roman ready for singles competition? McIntyre's beat him down multiple times over the last couple of weeks. Maybe Roman's not ready. Roman was ready. Cool. This match came on and I go, oh yeah, we're supposed to get this match tonight. No, I honestly kind of forgot this match was even happening. So then it was time for the Elias segment. And so we hear the announcer and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. And then you see a video of Elias playing the drums. And then all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. And you see Elias playing the piano. Whatever. And then again, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. And then Elias is in the ring. Does his strum. And he does this whole shtick, and then he's like, I'm going to play a song. I'm going to do something that's never been done. I'm going to play all these instruments with myself and blah, blah, blah. And so he plays a little ditty. He's got him playing guitar, which I don't think he was actually playing because he's got an acoustic guitar, and the guitar that was actually being played was an electric guitar. You couldn't hear the piano thing. You barely heard the drum. I don't know. Screw it. So then he does the whole WWE stands for, and the whole place did it. Walk with Elias. WWE stands for Walk with Elias. And then he gets interrupted by a video of Babe Ruth when he called this shot. And so they do the video. They're like, oh, Babe Ruth, he's pointing out to center field. He's calling his shot. And then he gets the pitch and the wind up. And, oh, the Babe has done it. Home run. This place is going crazy. And so they play that whole video. And then all of a sudden, the video, ends. And all of a sudden, on the screen, it says Thugonomics. And at first, I'm like trying to read it. And I'm like, it says Thugonomics. And the crowd was almost dead for this. Like, are all these fans that new? That they didn't really understand this? So, it says Thugonomics. And you hear, or I don't even know how to do the John Cena, Gracie Thugonomics, word life, untouchable. So, John Cena comes out. And he's got a Yankees jersey on. A Yankees hat backwards. Got the word life knuckles. And he comes down and he raps on Elias. He called Elias, he said that your catchphrase is, what does WWE stand for? Well, when you take away your guitar, it's just wasted wrestling experiment. He then said that he's not half a dog, but it's like a piece of Shih Tzu. That got over pretty big because they showed a picture of a Shih Tzu with Elias's face. He then said, your face looks like my nuts, but you got a hair of your bush. He said, this ain't the AA tonight, but you're getting the FU. So then Cena dropped the mic. Elias looked like he wanted to fight. Gave him the FU. We gave him the final shuffle. Then the FU. And Cole did not want to say FU. He was like, oh yeah, in recent times, this is now called the AA. And then I think it was Corey was like, yeah, but it's the FU originally or something like that. It was cute. The crowd really didn't know what to think of this. I really feel like a lot of these people didn't understand the Thugonomics. Because, like, it says Thugonomics on the screen, and you're just like, I'm listening at the crowd, and I'm like, yeah, this crowd is badly mic'd, which they weren't, because we heard them going pretty good earlier. Well, I mean, Broken Dreams in the chat says, when it's an open arena, you really can't hear the crowd. That's not true. In the Seth Rollins-Brock Lesnar match, you heard that crowd. In the Kofi Bryan match, you heard that crowd. When Becky came out, you heard that crowd. So, I don't know. Maybe it was just that they didn't really like it or understand it. I like how Cena was like, said something about, I'm turning heel tonight. And I know there was word going around that at one point Cena was slated to possibly be a referee for Corbin versus Angle. That was being talked about by people backstage, but it obviously didn't happen, as actually multiple plans changed tonight. So then next up, we got Triple H versus Batista with Shawn Michaels on commentary, and Shawn Michaels was not good on commentary. Shawn just kept talking about how long it's been since he's been in the ring, or full-time active, since Triple H has been full-time active, since Batista's been full-time active. I'm like, just let it be, buddy. Just let it be. So, highlight spot of this match was Batista and Triple H are fighting at ringside, and Triple H grabbed these channel locks and squeezed the fingers of Batista and freaking twisted his fingers trying to break his hand. A lot of stunts here. A lot of stuff where it was like, okay, I see what you're doing. No one wants to really get hurt or possibly get hurt. Because Batista's latest movie, Dune, actually started filming last week, I think it is. So he really had to be careful. Going forward, there was another spot where Triple H threw Batista into the ring, and he grabbed a steel chair and needle-nose pliers. So he puts the chair over the chest and neck of Batista so he can sit down, and he grabs the pliers, and he looks at Batista and he's like, oh, you got that nice nose ring, and he takes the pliers and he rips the nose ring right out of Batista's nose. Looked brutal. Batista's nose is bleeding a little bit. So then they're fighting at ringside. There was a spot where they were fighting on the announce table. Look like Batista was going to powerbomb Triple H with the announce table, and Triple H gave him a backdrop onto the other announce table. Batista then got speared through the third announce table. Back into the ring. There were steel steps in the ring, and Triple H powerbombed Batista on the steps, hit him with a pedigree, and Triple H was victorious after Ric Flair had come out and gave Triple H a sledgehammer. So 70-year-old Ric Flair did have a part in this match. I was surprised that Shawn didn't actually have a part in this match. Yeah, HBK Figs says Shawn was drunk. Yeah, you're not the only person to say that tonight. Shawn sounded drunk. Nick told me the same thing. He was like, here, I'll tell you exactly what Nick said about Shawn Michaels. So, watching this match, and Nick shoots me a message and goes, Shawn sounds drunk as fuck, LMFAO. I go, yeah, he does not sound good on commentary. Because he was like, ooh, that's a sledge. Or no, what did he say? He's like, ooh, and that's a spine buster. Or something like that. I was like, Shawn trying to be the overemphasis announcer. Alan, I'm going to get to that. I've heard some things since we've gone live. So then next up we had Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle got beat. Yeah, you heard me right. Kurt Angle got beat. Corbin kicked out of an Angle slam and survived an Angle lock. Angle delivered 2 sets of 3 German suplexes. Overall, this match wasn't much of a match at all. Angle did look better than he had looked over the last couple of weeks, and in the end, he got hit with the end of days after missing a moonsault, and Baron Corbin beat him. Kurt Angle then got on the mic and said, unfortunately, this isn't how I wanted to go out, but let's do one thing. Can we play my music and you guys give me those 2 words that have defined my career? And so play his music and the crowd said, you suck. And I like there was a guy in the front row that had a sign that said, you never sucked. So they showed Kurt's wife. She was crying at ringside. He went over there, hugged and kissed her, hugged and kissed all of his kids. Great moment for Kurt. Not much of a match, though. Angle did say, after the last 20 years, it was maybe one of the greatest nights of his life, having to be able to retire at WrestleMania. So then we got Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, or should I say Demon Finn Balor, with the Intercontinental Championship on the line. 4-minute match that was perfect. I said that Rollins-Lesnar was a great sub 5-minute match. So was this one. Because Lashley and freaking Finn Balor looked great. And Lashley did stuff that was like, whew. Usually Lashley's a little clunky at times. No, not tonight. So Finn had a cool entrance. He was on a big old pedestal as the demon. They lowered it down. And usually, when he does the, he does 2. Then he comes down to the ring. He does another 2. This time he got 4. He got 4 sets of hooahs. And so, very, very quick-paced match. I loved this match, actually. I thought the greatest thing in this match, though, was every time that they were fighting at ringside, Bobby and Finn would look over at Lio Rush and he'd snarl at him. Lio would go, nope, I'm done. Ran away. And he did it twice to him, and I was like, that was great. Because, at one point, Finn threw Bobby out of the ring, and Lio went to check on him. So Finn does a big old dive onto Bobby, and Leo's still kind of standing there, kind of the corner of the ring over by the announce desk, and Finn, quickly whips his head over and looks at Leo and goes, and Leo's just like, bye. I loved it. I think they almost broke one of those VR cameras that were strapped to the barricades. That would have cost them a lot of money. But in the end, a very, very crazy spot. So Finn Balor was hitting a lot of big moves, and then Bobby Lashley started hitting a lot of power moves, and Finn was on the apron, and Lashley runs at him as fast as he can and does the Big E spear through the ropes. But Lashley was moving so fast that they just flew through the ropes. Crashed onto the announce table. Finally, they got back into the ring. Surprised they survived that. Got back into the ring. Finn Balor then hit a power bomb. I like how the announcers were like, if that was the real Finn Balor, he may not have had the power to hit Bobby Lashley, a man that size, with the power bomb, but with the power of the demon, he was able to do it. So he hits him with the power bomb, hits him with the coup de grace. Finn Balor now 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Next up, Alexa Bliss would come out and state that this night's been going great, and she wants to thank all 82,265 people that were there with them tonight at WrestleMania. She then said, you know what this night needs? It needs a little break. And she's standing there. She goes, this night needs a break. And then again she goes, I said a break. And so R-Truth's music hits. R-Truth and Carmella come out, and they're like, we want to do the world's largest 7-second Dance break. So they do the dance break, and Corey Graves is like, because Renee's like, Corey, come on, just dance with everybody. And Corey's like, this has gone on longer than 7 seconds. And so a little funny thing. Then we got the main event. Yeah, Thanos Trolls. He says probably more like 75,000, maybe 78, but it wasn't no 82. They always elevate the numbers and make them seem more bigger. And I like how they usually they say, like, say they're in any building. Like last year they were in Mercedes-Benz Superdome. They always say we have a new Mercedes-Benz Superdome record, or we have a new MetLife Stadium attendance record. But Alexa was clear to say we have a new WrestleMania MetLife Stadium attendance record. So obviously it's not the most people that's ever been in the MetLife Stadium for an event. Then we have the main event. And the first thing we see, so we hear Greg Hamilton. He's like, the following matchup is for the Raw and SmackDown Live women. And his mic goes out. And so he does it again. He's like, this is our main event. Da, 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 da. And all of a sudden we hear, and then you see Charlotte Flair on a helicopter. And I'm like, where the hell are they going to land Charlotte on a helicopter? And then, dummy me, I'm thinking, is that why that canopy's so big? Is that not a canopy? Is that on a helipad? And I'm like, no, they're not landing on top of the ring. They didn't. They landed outside the arena. And they recreated basically Ric Flair, Great American Bash 1985 when he got brought in a helicopter. So the helicopter lands outside the arena. They pull out the red carpet. Charlotte walks in. Ronda Rousey gets a special entrance with Joan Jett playing Bad Reputation, which is kind of cool. And then Charlotte comes out after that. I don't know if... Give me a second and I'll figure something out. I'll tell you guys afterwards. Let me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So Becky then comes in, doesn't get a special entrance at all. It's just they play her music. Whoa, whoa. She just walks down to the ring. So the finish of this match, I don't need to talk about much of anything else because all you need to know is the finish. So the finish of this match was Becky and Ronda going at it, and Ronda goes for the Piper's Pit. As Ronda swings Becky around for the Piper's Pit, they crash down on the mat, and Becky flips over as if she had cradled Ronda Rousey. So the referee counts 1, 2, 3. Now I want to show you this image here. Because as soon as the match ends, you hear Ronda yell, "My shoulders weren't down, my shoulders weren't down." What were you thinking? And if we look at this photo here, let me pull it up off of Twitter. Ronda's shoulders were not down. Why can't I get to Twitter to load? Here we go. So we've got this photo right here. Ronda's shoulders are not down. Look at all that gap right here. Look at all that gap. Because she's on top of Becky's knee here. Her leg and knee. So, with that, Ronda was in the right to be pissed after the match. My shoulders weren't down. My shoulders weren't down. And apparently, according to... Let me pull this up here. According to a couple of different sources, that was not the actual finish. This first source, from Kristen Ashley, formerly of Diva Dirt, states that Becky, she says, according to at Calhoun, with sources inside WWE, Becky should have tapped out Charlotte. The source states, I've been told by different people in different positions in WWE that was the plan. I'm sure it looks like they've just botched the main event. Then, according to a Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, he states the finish didn't happen as planned. Rousey wasn't happy after either. Thought the situation made her look bad, apparently. Because if that wasn't the actual finish and she was supposed to tap out Charlotte, what happened? Was it the referee's fault? Was it Ronda and Becky's fault? We did see after the match, they quickly showed Charlotte and she was crying. I don't know if she was just crying because it was the main event or if she was crying because, oh crap, we messed up, we're in trouble. I don't know what's going to happen here or what's really going on. We'll learn more over the next 24 hours or so, but it looks like something was messed up. That was not what was supposed to happen. And I mean, overall, it was an okay match. It wasn't a great match. It wasn't like oh man, that was just a stellar WrestleMania main event. And apparently, the finish was botched. I'm trying to find something. Hold on one second, guys. But with that, that's what we know now. The finish was apparently messed up. It was botched. And we'll see how it goes and what happens if we do learn anything else. But now with that, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of tonight's WrestleMania 35. You guys can either text or call into the show. Put the numbers in the live chat for you guys. If you want to call into the show, you can do so at 559-475-8473. Again, the number to call in is 559-475-8473. If you do want to text in, 510-906-1341. 510-906-1341. All right, we get that going. Wait, I was looking at the live chat. This person says, I'm sure Vince took a midday nap and had a dream. It changed the match, plus Flair crying that Becky screwed her again. I don't know. It seemed weird. And apparently it was weird, and it wasn't what they were supposed to do, and I don't know what's going to happen or who to blame. Was it the referee's fault for counting the pin? Was it Becky's fault for holding Ronda down and not letting Ronda kick out? Was it Ronda's fault for the way she did the Piper's Pit at the end? So we'll see. And there we go. Sorry about that, guys, if the stream paused for you guys. I don't know what happened. I was trying to load up Skype, and it may have... Oh, we're back. We're good. I see a lot of people in the chat asking if they're unifying the women's championships. No. From what I know, they're not unifying the women's championships. Thank you to Steelers985 for the $2 super chat donation. Says WrestleMania was good. Didn't have to be great. So let's take the first caller. Caller on the air, what's going on? Caller on the air, what's going on?
Oh, hi.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, I was wondering why did the last main event had a botch?
That's something we don't know right now. I just stated that apparently it did have a messed up finish, but because it's so fresh and just happened within the last hour, there's really no way to know exactly what happened right now. Hopefully we find out more overnight, but I really can't say what happened because I don't know.
Oh, probably in the next 24 hours.
I mean, we might know by morning.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But...
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the call and have a great night.
Okay. You too.
Yeah. As far as what happened in that main event, like I said, it's so fresh. Who knows what happened? It's hard to say. And with probably everybody scrambling to figure out, oh crap, this looked like a botch. How do we fix this? I don't know. We'll see. Well, let's take another call. Again, if you do want to call in, 559-475-8473. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing all right, man.
So what'd you think of the show?
I thought it was, like you said earlier, a a little bit ups, a little bit down. But overall, I really had no complaints.
Right, same here.
My favorite match by far, Kofi Bryan. I'm so glad he won the title. He deserves. He worked his ass off for that title.
The right finish.
And my second thing is, that look when I had the feeling you had like, okay, Becky won, but it felt like that was at the end of the match. I felt like, wait, that's it? It just ended just like that? Something's wrong.
That's the exact same thing I said. I was just like, wait, it's over? And
this is the main event. They hyped it up so much. I thought it was going to go like the distance I thought it was going to go in the distance.
Right, and you can tell the crowd was even concerned, or not concerned, but worried, or maybe that's not the right word. Confused, that's what I'm looking for. Because you would have thought that referee counted 3, and they would have popped hard for Becky Lynch. But because the way the referee counted, and it was so indecisive on what just happened, the crowd didn't know if they were supposed to cheer or not, because they didn't even know if it was an actual 3 count.
Yeah, and the picture you showed while you were talking about the ref, he was out of position. He was on the side. He was on Becky's side. He was out of position. He didn't see around the shoulder. So it may be the ref's fault.
That's what I'm thinking.
He was way out of position.
But here's the other thing with that. Yes, it could have been the ref's fault for counting. But if Becky knew that wasn't supposed to be the finish, you would think maybe she would let go of the cradle so Ronda can get out of that. You know what I mean? And
I hear that too.
And also the other thing, though, if the finish was supposed to be Becky tapping Charlotte, wouldn't the ref have known that? I get it. The ref is told, here's the finish, but call it like this is a real fight. So if something were to happen like what just happened where he's going for the 1, 2, he can't just stop. He's got to make it look as realistic as possible. So he can't just not count that 3 even though, Becky's still holding Ronda down. So I don't know who's to blame. Could be both the referee and Becky. Could be the referee, Becky, and Ronda. We don't know.
Yeah. I feel bad for them because they worked their behinds off to get there, and it ended like that. I kind of feel bad for all of them. It ended like that.
Right. It's just very weird.
Like you said, we'll find out in the next 24 hours or so. But I hope it. Do you? Oh yeah, my last thing. Do you think this the main event kind of got by from what we know? You think Vince is gonna think twice about who he puts in this main event from now on?
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
I can honestly, knowing how Vince McMahon is, I can't say this 100% for certain, but I can see Vince going, we let the women main event and they messed it up. We ain't doing that again.
Yeah.
I can see him having some sort of mentality like that where we try to give them the opportunity and they messed it up.
Dang. Man, it feels like they keep taking steps forward, but then they also taking steps back.
Right.
Man. Well, thanks for taking my call, Tim.
Not a problem. Thanks for the call and have a great night.
You too, man.
Roll Gar in the chat says, I don't think it was a botch. I think they cut it short. No. When I've got multiple people with multiple sources telling me no, that wasn't the finish, you got to go with them sources. So, let's take this next call here.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, brother?
How's it going?
How's it going? It's Oscar, long-time subscriber, man. I really enjoy the podcast.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, is Kurt really going to go out like this? Did he get the shit end of the stick? I couldn't see him going out like this, man. Like, he deserved a lot more than this, and I think, did Vince screw him on this, or you think it was just father's time and he couldn't,
I don't know about going as far as saying Vince screwed him. The mentality in pro wrestling is when you retire, you put the younger talent over. That typically is the mentality. We saw it when Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Ric Flair lost. We've seen in a lot of different matches. There's the exceptions. Like when Edge had his last match, obviously he won against Alberto Del Rio. But for the most part, the thought process in pro wrestling is when this is your last match, is your retirement match, typically you put the other person over because they're still sticking around and they need to take the momentum of the win. Yeah, it would be cool.
Okay,
go
but
for it.
saying that, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
But saying that, I mean, don't you think that there was, I mean, and I'm not taking nothing away from Baron Corbin because he's worked his ass off to get where he's gotten, but don't you think that there's more, I mean, technical, talented wrestlers better than Baron Corbin? That there's maybe, I mean, we could say that about a lot of people, but
right.
I think there's a lot more people that probably could have, capitalized on that spot a lot more.
No, you're not wrong. And Kurt even said it in an interview this week that if it was really up, like storyline, it was quote unquote up to him. But he said if it was really up to him, he wanted his match to be against Cena because he felt like it would have been a full circle thing. He had Cena's first match. He was the opponent in Cena's first main roster match. So he wanted to have Cena as his final opponent, kind of like put it all full circle, but that's not what Vince wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I was just wondering about that and wanted to have your take on that, but really enjoyed, your review on everything, brother. And you keep it up, man. You and Nick are the man.
All right. Thank you and have a great night.
Have a good one, brother.
All right. So before we take some more calls, look over the text messages. This person here, 252, says, hey, what do you think is next for Daniel Bryan? And you think New Day splitting up on Tuesday? Oh, no. New Day ain't splitting. I don't think New Day's splitting at all. Not after tonight. It was too much of a great moment. This person here says, with all the build and hype, how do you think WWE fixes the whole botch thing? And there was too many botches. Alma taking out himself, Ms. Shane, Zack Ryder. No, the Ms. Shane thing, I don't know if that was a botch. I don't know if coming off the suplex and Shane getting the win, I don't know if that was a botch. It didn't seem like a botch at all to me. The Ryder thing, I think the thing was to do the suplex, but it was just that Ryder just tumbled too much. And then, I mean, it happens. The Steelers $9.85 in the live chat. Thank you for the super chat donation. $2 says, heard WWE spoiled Kofi's win on WWE Shop. Is that true? Yes. Before the match happened, if you would have gone to shop.wwe.com and clicked in the search bar and typed in a New Day, the shirt that Big E presented to Kofi after the match was already up on Shop. Going forward to the text messages, this person says, tonight WrestleMania was the first WrestleMania Undertaker has missed in 19 years. Yeah, I think he hasn't missed a Mania since Mania 2000, I think it is. Just looking at the text messages. The person says Kofi is the first fully black WWE champion. I think so. I know Booker was champion, but he was world heavyweight champion. And then Rock, he's not full black. So, yeah, good stat there. This person says WrestleMania was not bad. However, I think Kevin Owens should have been on the show. Yeah, like, why wasn't he not even in the Battle Royal? They must have something big for him on Raw or SmackDown this week. It was very weird that there was no Kevin Owens, no sign of him anywhere. But let's take another call. Caller on the air, what's going
on? Hey, Tim, I just have 3 questions real quick. That's
okay.
Right. My first question is the main event. All right, so I know everyone's saying it was botched, but what if it wasn't? What if it was just a talking point for Monday Night Raw?
I don't think with multiple people, with multiple sources within the company, online, putting it on Twitter that this was messed up. The people that are doing it, I know, and they wouldn't be doing this, putting it out online, ruining their reputation of being credible sources. So I have to go with them and the people that I read their tweets from. I believe both of them to be reputable sources and have reputable sources within the company. And, I mean, for Sean Sapp specifically, I read his tweet. He's somebody that, unless he's 100% confident in what his source is telling him, he's not going to put it out. Even if he's 99.5% on it. He will not put it out unless he's 100%. So that's why I believe with Shawn stating on Twitter that was not where they were supposed to go with the finish, I believe him 100%.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying anyone's lying or anything. I'm just saying. I'm just saying I'm just giving ideas because that main event left me like confused, just like everyone else. My other question is, how do you feel about Seth Rollins winning, and what do you think they're going to go with him?
Honestly, Seth Rollins winning the championship was the right move, especially if Brock is going back to the UFC. It is rumored that Brock Lesnar is going to fight Daniel Cormier in August. If that match is going to happen, we will know about it, I think, this week because they're having a huge UFC press conference to announce the main events of the summer shows. So if Brock is going to have a fight coming up, then he's going to be taking time off. A fight camp for UFC is at least 3 months, if not longer, which means that he won't be able to do some of the upcoming pay-per-views. He probably will have to miss Saudi Arabia. So putting the Universal title on Seth is the right move. And going forward, I would have said his first opponent should have been McIntyre, but with McIntyre losing to Roman Reigns tonight, I don't know if that makes McIntyre, number one contender worthy. So we'll see. I don't know where they go as far as a heel that can challenge Seth for the title, unless somebody turns that we're not expecting, or they move somebody from Raw or from SmackDown.
Yeah, my last question is, who Money in the Bank's coming up, and who do you think is a perfect Money in the Bank holder for the men? I think it's Andrade.
Kevin Owens.
Thanks for taking my call. All right, thanks for taking my call.
Great night. I think someone that could really benefit, Kevin Owens. This match tonight with Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan was originally planned to be Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens back before Elimination Chamber. Then when Kofi got hot, they actually listened to the crowd and said, you know what, we're going to give the crowd what they want. So maybe Kevin Owens wins Money in the Bank. I wouldn't be against that. I mean, Kevin Owens would be a great Money in the Bank holder. This person says, Tim, do you think the New Day should win the tag titles on Raw or on Tuesday on SmackDown? Nah, I think that'd be overdoing it. Oh, New Day's they're all draped in gold. Nah, I don't think that's needed. But let's take another call. Again, if anybody else does want to call in, you can do so at 559-475-8473. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Oh, what's up? How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good. I have a question. What do you think of any moments that's gonna happen tomorrow on Raw? Like any debuts? Like, what's your prediction? Like any shocking moments?
I mean, I know Sami Zayn is ready to come back at any moment, so maybe Sami Zayn can return either tomorrow or Tuesday. I can see them returning him on Tuesday and aligning him maybe with Kevin Owens or something. That's just what they've liked to do, is keep Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn together, even if they're opponents or partners. As far as big surprises for tomorrow, I really haven't heard anything. I know they're going to have to address Becky having both championships and what they're going to do with that, because they're not unifying the titles, last I heard. So, big surprises for Raw and SmackDown, I honestly haven't heard of any. I haven't heard anything. If they have something, they're keeping it super hush-hush.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see some cool surprises. Thank you so much, dude.
Not a problem. Thanks for the call. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Again, like I said, the one big surprise that I could see would be the return of Sami Zayn. He is ready to come back at any time. I also did hear that they're going to start airing some Bray Wyatt vignettes to hype up his return soon. Let's take another call. I got a text message here. This person asked a good question. Do you think they would go Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title? Probably not, because that's babyface versus babyface, unfortunately. And they don't really usually like to do babyface versus babyface. Calling on the air, what's going on?
Hey, Tim, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good, yourself?
Not too bad. Gotta say, with the way that ended, I'm still not sure how I feel about it. And just after the picture that you just showed, I'm really not sure. But, I mean, for me, I think people are probably taking it a little too far about who botched this and who botched that. I mean, it happens. So, like you said before, we're going to see what comes from it starting tomorrow night or within the next 24 hours or so.
Well, see, here's the thing.
There's that.
With the botch happening, it's still Becky got the victory, so it's still the outcome they wanted, just not the way they wanted it. So I don't think they mention it at all. It would actually,
but I mean,
honestly, it would look bad on them to say that wasn't how the match was supposed to end when we're supposed to believe that these are real fights that they're having and this and that. Because if they come out there and Ronda goes, I wasn't supposed to lose, Charlotte was supposed to tap out, then it's like, you just told us that the match is all contrived, even though we know that it's all planned out in the ahead of time and all that. It just would make the whole thing look so bad, and it would make the moment of the women main eventing look like the worst moment in WrestleMania history, probably, or one of.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I mean, I admit I'm not only watching your review, I'm watching a few different ones.
Gotcha.
And I'm seeing a lot of these chats, and that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people are putting all this blame in so many different directions, but there's a couple of people that actually said this is why women shouldn't main event, which that's bullshit in and of itself.
I mean, to be honest, we don't know exactly what happened. Like, all we know is what we saw on television. So we don't know we don't know who to blame. Like I've said, you don't know if you're supposed to blame the ref, if you're supposed to blame Becky, if you're supposed to blame Ronda. We know that Charlotte can't take no blame because she wasn't even in the ring. But as far as who's supposed to take the blame, until we know exactly what happened and why the finish was messed up, all we can say is, well, somebody messed up, and now we need to see if we can figure out who and what happened. Until we find that out, you really can't. You can speculate, but you really can't 100% say, oh, blame the referee, he shouldn't have counted. To be honest, referees are told, here's what the finish is going to be, but if something happens where you're counting and your hand's going to go down for 3 and you know you're not supposed to, do it anyways, because this is supposed to look as real as possible. If that referee would have went 1, 2, and then just kept his hand up, you know how even worse that would have looked?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. That's the part I agree with you on. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of I just don't like the way that some people are treating it, but that's just me.
And again, you can't put too much into this right this moment without really knowing. And I don't think we may not know for at least till tomorrow morning.
Right.
At the latest or the earliest.
Right. And I agree with that. I don't know. And that's where I think a lot of this is just being made out of nothing. But on to a more a separate note, it's just pretty interesting. The weekend had, maybe 15, 16, 17 title changes? I mean, how wild is that?
Right. You're not wrong there.
I mean, it was just amazing to see. I will say that tonight lived up to, well, not lived up to, but it was better than expected. Of course, I think a lot of people downplayed it, but it capped things off pretty nicely, I think. So,
oh, yeah. And we still got Raw and we still got SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely looking forward to those, but that's pretty much all I got on.
All right.
That and I would have liked the Intercontinental title match to be longer, but other than that, everything.
You know, to be honest, that match going 4 minutes, I think it couldn't have been any better. I think for a 4-minute match, that was the perfect 4-minute match with those two guys. I think Lashley looked better than he's looked in a while.
Oh, by far.
So I think, with the way that match went, I think it was perfect. Any longer, and it really wouldn't have been as good. So sometimes really quick, short matches, just like we saw with Brock and Seth, it was perfect to go short.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it's the two big guys like Brock and Lashley and everything, but
just remember though, Brock and Goldberg a few years ago was a sub 5-minute match, and that match was almost perfect as well.
Well, and that's an interesting thing about that. I mean, what do you believe contributed to that being the time length that it was? A lot of people looked at it as Goldberg not being in the same kind of shape, but I don't really see that. Do you?
No. The reason that match went so short is because when Goldberg came back, even going all the way back to 2003 when he first came to WWE, Vince McMahon's mentality was, we got to have decent length matches. So Goldberg was doing normal length matches and wasn't getting over. What got Goldberg over in WCW was him going in there and having 2-minute matches squashing guys. So when he came back in 2016, he had the really quick match with Brock. He had the really quick match with Owens. And then they did this 4 or so minute match at WrestleMania, him and Brock. It's just the mystique of Goldberg is you get him in there, he does all his big moves, and he's done. Whether he wins or loses, you don't need someone like Goldberg, even like a Brock Lesnar, to do too much. There are special attractions that should be in there. Do what you know they do best and get them out of there.
Fair enough. I can understand that. I'll leave you on a couple things first. Just piggybacking off of what one person said. In terms of Money in the Bank, they mentioned the male. What is your take on the female Money in the Bank?
That's a tough one. I don't know who I would go with right now. I know they're really high on Mandy Rose. I don't know what they're thinking with Lacey Evans. I wouldn't put her in the ladder match. I don't think she would do too well. I mean, maybe they go Mandy Rose because they really, really like her right now. She's the next pretty blonde they want to push. But, I mean, Ember Moon's back. I don't see them putting it on her, but she's a solid wrestler that could go out there and just be good in the ladder match at least.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, and that's what kind of surprised me. This is the other thing I wanted to point out is that Shayna actually retained on Friday night. I mean, I figured if anything, she could come up and actually be a factor, but
right.
That doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon.
They must have some big plans for her down in NXT. Honestly, what I think they could do is eventually, she beat Shayna Baszler beat Bianca Belair twice, so maybe Bianca Belair goes on like a little redemption thing where it's like, I thought I was the best. I thought I could stay undefeated. Now I want to prove why I've always thought that, and then maybe in a couple of months, she earns her way back into the title picture, and Bianca Belair takes the title from her.
Okay, I could see that.
So, because I do think that, because they did have Io and Kyrie work so well together, I do think that the plan for them is to have them as a tag team.
Yeah, in a way, I was kind of convinced that Io was going to be the one to do it, but I think them being a team makes sense, and you got to imagine, especially with the way they did things in that match, somewhere down the line, they're probably going to have that split, and if you do it right, it's going to be hot.
I mean, for all we know, maybe they take the titles off the Iconics, and the thing was that they didn't want, Bayley and Sasha losing the titles in a singles tag team match, so they had the Bayley and Sasha lose the title in a multi-team match, and that way the Iconics maybe can drop the titles to the Sky Pirates. Just thought.
Hey, maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, we'll find out soon enough. But that's interesting. I never really thought about it that way. All right, I'll let you get to everybody else. Thanks for taking my call, and I'll probably call in tomorrow night if you're on.
All right, we'll be for sure. Always on after Raw and SmackDown. But with that, have a great night, and thanks for the call.
You too, sir.
All right. With that, looking at the text messages. Let's remove this person from the chat. You gone. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat when I was with the caller and stuff. I apologize, guys, for that racist person in the chat. This person says, what's up with Lashley and the green contacts? It was just a way to make him look menacing. It was nothing special. Finn had the demon persona. So Lashley had the one green, one yellow contact to make him look a little menacing, I guess you can say. Let's take another call. Oh, you guys want to call? Stay on. Caller on the air, what's going on? never mind, lost that caller. If anybody else want to call in, you could do so. 559-475-8473. Again, call in 559-475-8473. All right, we got more on the main event situation. This also comes from Kristen Ashley by way of @Calhoun on Twitter. It says, match ended too abruptly. Becky was still meant to win, though. Source states, accidents happen. The ref continued a count after a kick out. He hasn't delayed between the 2 and 3 like they're supposed to, and Becky hasn't let go in time for Ronda to kick out. So apparently, the ref was counting. The ref is supposed to have a slight pause between 2 and 3. Becky was also supposed to let Ronda kick out. Again, we don't know who's fully to blame here. We'll have to wait and see what we can find out over the next, 24 hours or so. But, it's going to be tough. I don't know what happens. Vince is probably in the back pissed. We've seen, like with Kevin Owens and Jericho, he was pissed after that match. When that match didn't seem like a bad match. When this match had a mistake, he was probably seething. Let's take this call. And caller on the air, what's going on?
Hey, Tim. Hello.
Hello.
I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
Drew Gulak is, I think, one of the best in 205 Live. Do you ever see him winning the Cruiserweight title? Because I think he should at some point.
I think Gulak is really good as well. I think Gulak is a very great technical wrestler. But at the same time, it's like, you got to, in 205 Live, you've got a good amount of guys there, but only one title. You can't just be, what's the word I'm looking for? Hot potatoing that title to different guys every couple of months.
Yeah.
I like how Cedric held the
That
title
makes
for
sense.
5 or 6 months. Then Buddy Murphy held the title for 5 or 6 months. So Tony Nese maybe not hold it for 6 months, but maybe hold it for 2 or 3 months. It's just, I don't like when the title goes to a lot of different people. Like, honestly, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in New Japan, since the beginning of the year, there's already been 4 champions. And that's in just 4 months. So you got to think, if you want the title to mean something, then you got to have the champion at least, have a couple successful defenses. Because if the champion wins it and loses it really quick, it was like, well, that guy's weak. I never want to see him as the champion again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, eventually, maybe you give the title to Gulak. But right now, I say keep it on Nese for a little while.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for taking my call. Have a good night. I love what you're doing with the show, by the way.
Thank you, and have a great night. Caller in the air, what's going on? Caller going once. Twice. Dropped out. Take another one. Caller in the air, what's going on? Hello? Caller, going once. Twice. Lost that one too. It's 2 in a row. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a sign. We should end it. With that, I want to say thank you to everybody who did listen here on the post-WrestleMania 35 review and recap. Everybody that texted in, everybody that called in, everybody that was in the live chat, everybody with the super chat donations as well. Really appreciate that. The super chat donations go really far into helping us out. It's probably the best way for you guys to directly support us with these super chat donations. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who either watched live or watched later, either here on YouTube or listened on iTunes. Remember, we will be live tomorrow following Monday Night Raw. Tomorrow morning, we will have a new episode of PWU Daily. PWU Daily will be moving from 11 a.m. Pacific to 9 a.m. Pacific. That way, it will be now at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Just a little heads up there. So, with that, I want to say thank you. We'll be live again tomorrow. Hit that notification bell down below to get notified when we post new videos, when we do go live. And if that's not working, follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com